Um, Hello, everybody, again. This is probably the fifth, sixth call, the Proving Ecosystem Community Call. The agenda for today's call is really just to go over some stats from tell you guys what have been, the number of proofs posted to L1, really summary statistics, and then we'll go through a pulse check. Would love to know if there's any feedback on sort of any issues that you guys have run into, whether connecting to local ProverNet or just posting proofs on on the L1 on ProverNet. And then we'll be handing it over to I'll be handing it over to Paula to do some Q&A. We've compiled a list of sort of the most frequently asked questions on the Telegram group. And yeah, we'll just a quick heads up. Almost a lot of my presentations have been rated R for really, really long. So hopefully this is more of a discussion and interactive session. Please feel free to jump in and ask anything at any point. And yeah, this has been the statistics. We took a snapshot as of yesterday around 4 p.m. UTC time. These are about a dozen, half a dozen different teams or different addresses posted proofs to the L1. Half a dozen, of course, give or take a few addresses. We did not collect, or we didn't really share any statistics on sort of time posted or the time elapsed between the posting of a block and then the posting of a proof. There's still some time. I think the main the main sort of really sort of criteria is the consistency and the number of proofs being posted to the L1. That's kind of what the main focus is going to be on for this stage. Things are pretty close at the top. So maybe, in next week's update, we'll have some statistics on sort of the fastest provers or the average time for proof, just to give you guys a little bit of a better idea. But yeah, this is, I don't think I ran the numbers here, but I think the top sort of address has posted, or has posted proofs to about, I don't want to say 60% of all different proofs, but out of 486 different blocks, there's about 295 different proofs posted. Again, there's probably going to be more stats on, how many, were these different blocks proven or not. But for now, would love to, I mean, before I sort of move on to the pulse check, has anyone on the call sort of not been able to post any proofs? I see a couple of addresses there with only one proof posted. I'll just take a very brief pause here to see if anybody has any questions on the statistics or any comments maybe related to some of the numbers on the screen.
I know from a fact, just speaking to other participants, there were some people still getting set up and just prepared to start generating proofs. So I would definitely expect the number of overall participants making their way on the leaderboard to increase over the next few days.
Yeah, just for clarification as well, we'll reset this ahead of the contest official start date, but this gives people a little bit of an idea of kind of where things are at the moment and how successful their integrations have been.
Great, thanks, Joe and Steve. And with statistics sort of behind us, maybe just moving on to the pulse check. Now, this is like super informal. We won't run any polls or anything like that. But first, 1 week away from the contest start date, how's everybody doing? We asked some questions on last call. Have you been able to connect to the local ProverNet? Have you been able to post any proofs? Really, some details that would be helpful to understand is if you haven't been posting any proofs yet, has it been sort of due to any sort of technical difficulties, or just like you haven't had the time to get set up? Would love if anyone has anything to share here on sort of just general readiness for the start of the contest next week.
Can I add something? Seeing the addresses, the one with 57 is our team's address. It was just a test for to check if everything is working with the current setup. And it's, if I'm not mistaken, it was running for a day and a half. So I'm just assuming, so everyone's maybe trying their local ProverNet, but this one was just a test ahead of the main event. So so far so good. And it would be great if we somehow had access to the rankings or leaderboard, or I don't know if there's an explorer or in DevNet we can have these basic numbers, general numbers.
Yeah, that's coming up in near the end of the week.
Great, thanks.
Thanks for your comments, Son. Did you have any particular statistics? I mean, just like I don't know if you had any thoughts on sort of what would be helpful.
Actually, my teammates already been discussing some ideas with Santiago, if I'm not mistaken, about different approach that can be customized. And if he's in part of in charge of that particular customization, I'm working more of doing the technical stuff for proof submission. So I guess he's a bit, he has more overview about the details for the integration of and customization of some, I guess would be a cool idea about some dashboard, but again, he has better grasp of the details on that.
Got it. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. Does anyone else have any other comments on, it's like maybe some of the numbers on the screen? 39, 1, 295. You guys are killing it. But yeah, any comments?
Yeah, I have a question. The fifth entry from the top, I believe, is our address, and I'm wondering why we're hitting 59 as opposed to those top entries in 300 range or 295 range. Like, I just don't understand, what we should do to hit more. Is it the performance on our side, or what needs to change?
My gut feeling is it depends on when you started running things. It could just be that you connected your prover node later than others to the network, and so you started from a later step. That's okay. And to be clear, like this leaderboard, this ranking is not going to determine anything from the contest. We'll start from scratch on the day the contest starts. So like this was shared just because a few people in the Telegram group asked if we could share some stats. So this is what we have been seeing, but they are by no means meaningful when it comes to the contest itself. So you don't need to worry about them.
Okay, thank you.
On-chain data containing improving time info. Yes, we have collected it, but not plotted it. Honestly, the only thing we care about is that proofs are posted within the 20-minute range. We'll only go into proving times in case there is a tie break, which there may be if 5F and 9D keep up that work, but I don't anticipate that will be the case.
Yeah. Yeah, these statistics are not like they're really, really just rough sort of summary statistics on the number of proofs posted to L1. We'll get back with some more information, hopefully on the next call, just to keep you guys updated. And like Paula said, this is by no means a leaderboard for the contest. This is just sort of which address has posted the most amount of proofs. So yeah, we'll definitely try to maybe clarify a bit more on that.
I mean, just to quickly as well, I think good time to re-emphasize that like winning the contest probably not the be all and end all as well at this point. Like just is very much the beginning, and just testing out what we already have here is definitely the should be the priority for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. This is just a small contest. I mean, the biggest win here is to know that you're able to consistently, have like a close to 100% uptime, posting proofs on L1, so that maybe when some of the later versions of testnet begin, you're sort of more prepared. But yeah, definitely, what Steve said is a really great point. Okay. Yeah, and maybe just a pulse check on the custom integrations. We've asked this question last week. Would love to ask it again to see any updates over the week. Has anyone been trying to work on a custom integration but is facing difficulties or does not think that they can do it in time before the contest? Any feedback that you guys can share on just anyone running anything really that's different from the Aztec client?
Yeah, hi guys. So I wasn't at the last week meeting, so I'm not sure if there are other participants trying to create custom integration, but I'm representing Gavolot. And for me, there was several issues that I solved or work around it. For example, BB Prover was tricky to run in Gavolot environment because it uses network. So once BB Prover is launched, it fetches Aztec ceremony data from AWS. So in case of Gavolot environment, there is no network access. So I had to download the data and put it inside cache. So then the BB Prover won't be accessing network. However, the tricky thing is that Aztec ceremony data is over 6 gigabytes. However, according to my benchmark, only some first n bytes are required for proving. So for example, I could only put 100 megabytes of G1 file and put other files. I don't need to fetch all 6 gigabytes. So that was problem number one. Another problem is that in Gavolot, we are running unikernels. Unikernels are, let's say, some way similar to Docker containers. However, they are much more restricted. So they are allowing to launch single process. And what is in BB Prover? It is doing extra preprocessing steps. For example, it is unpacking bytecode and witness with a gunzip command. So that is not supported, launching external commands in Gavolot. The prover must be single process. So I also had to change BB Prover code and adjust input manually to provide already unpacked data. Also, the thing it was written in C++ was tricky for Gavolot integration because we need some additional code for communicating with environment, and that code is available for Rust. So integrating provers not based in Rust is a little tricky. So I had to convert the whole BB prover to be library and expose main function as FFI, and then call it from my wrapper program that was written in Rust and had access to all those SDK written for Gavolot. Also things like outdated stack. Yes, there is some question.
Just on your single process, does that mean that the Gavolot prover is single threaded, or it's just you can access multiple cores still?
So it's the environment is unikernel, Nanos unikernel. So as far as I know, there is support for multiple threads, but not for multiple processes. But I'm not sure. Like I need to double check that, but multiple threads should work.
Yeah. The
Let me just confirm. Let me just
It will
confirm
take
that multi-threading works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we take advantage of up to what 30, 32, maybe even more cores if they exist. So yeah, you'll get some pretty slow proofs if you don't have threading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, Andrea, in terms of processes, you mean you can have just a single process or a single initial process and that process can have child processes?
no, it must be a single process. It cannot spawn on a child.
Gotcha.
Like the fork command syscall is not available.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of very limited environment, but it's making everything very tricky. Except of that, I think I wanted to use latest tech stack for compiling BBProver, and CLang 17 doesn't seem to work so well with current code base. I had to comment out few assertions. Also, I had to disable assembly optimizations. They couldn't compile on my x64 AMD machine. I don't know why, but I guess that's probably because of newer CLang version. And I think that's those were issues regarding BBProver itself. Integration with Aztec codebase was a big issue as well, because there are plenty of NPM libraries that are published. However, some of them are relying on dependencies that are either private or are based on relative links. So they work inside the full project, but if you try to pull them from NPM, they don't work as a standalone dependency. And also, I thought that maybe I could integrate external prover agent as a separate thing that would be written in Rust, because for interacting with Develop environment and scheduling proving requests, I need to use Develop SDK, which is written in Rust. But it seems like there is a lot of conversion of input between prover agent and actually invoking the CLI commands. There is a lot of ABI conversion that happens inside JavaScript, and trying to replicate that functionality in Rust or other code seems to be overkill. So in the end, I was like, okay, so I need to integrate it inside JavaScript. And there were a couple other issues, but in the end, I decided, okay, I can just do monkey patching. I don't need to build the whole Aztec code base. I can just build my custom part for running those provers, and then I can create my Docker file that will be basing on your container, and it will be just injecting my single JavaScript file and adjusting 2 lines to execute it. So in the end, I would say like most of the problems were solved on my side. Currently, I'm working on coordination with Gavulot environment, because there is no SDK for interacting from JavaScript. But I guess I should be able to do that in a few days. So let's say on Gavulot side, everything goes well.
That's awesome. And let me ask you another question. In Gavulot's architecture, like you mentioned, like this single process that runs within the unikernel, do you spawn like a new container, I guess you would call it, for every proving job that you need to run, or is it a long-lived process that answers requests for jobs?
For every proving job, there is a QEMU spawned.
Great.
Yeah.
That's amazing feedback. Thank you so much.
Just to clarify on the kind of integration, have you been able to prove against the ProverNet yet, or just still all doing it locally?
No, I'm just running everything locally. Like the connection with official ProverNet shouldn't be issue. Like I had the whole stack running locally 3 weeks ago. So like I don't expect to have issues with connecting to your official net. It's more rather like I'm worried about finishing our Gavulot custom integration. But one thing I would like to ask is, could you confirm the start date? Is it 2nd September, Monday morning, or is it still flexible?
We were shooting for actually pushing back a day, given it's Monday is a holiday in the US, and we know that there are a bunch of people based there, so that we don't start everything on a holiday.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that sounds nice for me.
Yeah, we'll share the official start date and time in the group, probably later after the call.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And from my side, there are no blockers. Like answering some questions from the slide, like there is great support. Like also Santiago was replying to my issues on GitHub. So like from my side, you are doing a great job.
And thank you so much for the feedback. Honestly, we didn't consider something like unikernels as an environment for BProver, but it makes perfect sense. So we'll definitely look into it and potentially rethink the architecture behind the Prover agent.
Okay, thank you.
That was awesome. Thanks a lot for the feedback. Would anyone else like to say any or give any more feedback on custom integrations? Or in fact, any blockers for next week's start date?
I see we have a raised hand, Bilal.
Bilal?
Hey guys, I just have a quick question. So what method do we use to check how many blocks our node is proven? Is there an explorer so far, or is there something I can...
To know, sorry, how many blocks have been proven total, or how many blocks have you proven?
How many our node is proven? Yeah, how do we check that?
I think the release has already gone through. We have added a CLI command that you can use for checking that really quickly, basically for generating the table that you just saw. You could run that to gather the information. If not, I can make a note on how to run it.
Awesome, thank you.
And we would also like to open up a Grafana dashboard for everyone within the group. But that's coming up a bit later. We need to split up private versus public information.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Dennis?
Hey, I have a question. I mean, I have 3 questions, but they are not related to custom integrations, if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay, sure. So first one is, can I run multiple prover agents against the same prover node?
You should, actually.
Okay, cool. The second one is, I can see like from the metrics perspective that the only way to get metrics is pushing them against an open telemetry collector and then scraping those metrics with a Prometheus server, for example. My question is like, how difficult would it be to expose a / metrics endpoint so I can like get those metrics directly from Prometheus?
I think we can look into it. I'm not sure if we would be able to ship it before next week. That's something I'm worried about.
Yeah, I'm mainly asking because we are running that on ProverNet and we already have all the Prometheus setup there. So it would be like much easier to get it directly using like a service monitor or something like that.
Okay, still, I think that you should be able to spin up the OTel collector, which and like point Prometheus to that, which is the setup we have on the Docker Compose shared in the mono repo. So you don't need any changes for Prometheus hitting the prover agent or the prover node directly.
Okay, yeah, we'll take a look into that.
Please,
and
feel free to shoot me a message if you need further help with that.
Okay, appreciate that. And yeah, last one is if the prover agent has some kind of health check endpoint, because we are running like the probes against the /status endpoint for the prover node. It's working, But for the prover agent, I had to disable the probes. I don't know if it's like a part issue or if it's just not exposing this endpoint.
The agent doesn't expose any interface because basically the agent doesn't have any API at all. Like the agent is pull only. That's why there is no status, but we should be able to add something. I'll try to make it before next week and let you know if we manage to.
All right, appreciate that.
Sure.
Thanks, folks. But so far, so good. Everything's working.
Good to hear.
Thanks, Dennis. Love to hear more feedback from folks on the call. Open telemetry, anything else? Okay, that was amazing feedback so far. It seems that there's no significant blockers for the contest. Like it seems like everybody on the call at least is sort of ready and will be ready to hit the ground running starting September 3rd. If there's any problems or challenges and you don't think you can start on time, please let us know. Okay. One more thing. I know that I promised to give you sort of the brains behind it, Santiago, for Q&A, but I just wanted to make one sort of simple clarification on integrations. So when we announced the contest, we said there's going to be 2 tracks, one for folks using the custom, one for folks using the Aztec client and one for folks building custom integrations. I just wanted to clarify what we meant by custom integrations. This is, for custom integrations, we're really targeting proof marketplaces to just build, sort of different mechanisms throughout the proving jobs to the decentralized networks of sort of proving machines that they have on the marketplace. And so, and again, for the sake of this contest, the focus on proof marketplace is really nothing more than just like, and again, in the beginning, this is kind of important. We want to emphasize sort of liveness. A higher number of connected machines, should decrease the risk of missed proof submissions. Things like geographical dispersion is also like we would like to sort of have a grasp on what is the sort of geographical dispersion of different machines or different provers connected. That's also pretty important, as well as economics, right? We think the more sort of number of machines that are connected, the better price discovery can run, and which should result in sort of faster and more cost-effective proofs. Now, having said that, of course, we're super keen on integrations from non-proof marketplaces as well. We've seen some of the things that you guys are building, and we're going to give more concrete details on sort of, how we're thinking about those, again, integrations into custom sort of proof marketplaces, whether there's going to be a third category or just like several ad hoc rewards. We're still thinking we're going to release sort of more information or more details really on an ASAP basis. But I just wanted to make that quick clarification that custom integrations really is sort of us talking about proof marketplaces and folks that can sort of disperse proofs into a network of proving machines. Joe, Paula, do you guys want to add anything to this slide?
No, I think you were on point, Matt. Like the main stress is like the original intent for custom integrations was, as Amin was saying, targeting proving marketplaces. But we're seeing a lot of people who are building tools which are super valuable for basically for deploying the infrastructure in some either in a cloud provider or even bare metal. And we really want to encourage that work as well. It's not what we had in mind originally when we discussed custom integrations, but it's also super valuable. So we want to make sure that those integrations, that work happens as well.
Yeah, we'll basically kind of post a submission form if you've built things as part of this to get things up and running, and you want to submit kind of tooling. We'll kind of submit that and work out how to award winners there. It may not be based on kind of proof submitted, but we just wanted to call out that it is valuable to have that kind of submitted, and building kind of open source tooling here is going to make this easier for everyone who comes after us. So thanks for the hard work.
absolutely. Does anyone have any questions or clarifications on custom integrations? Okay, awesome. And yeah, if you do have any questions for the pop-up later, please feel free to drop a question in the Telegram chat. And yeah, with that, I'll just pass it back to Paula, Santiago. We've had a number of sort of frequently asked questions, and Santiago's just going to give a rundown. Santiago.
Thank you, Min. Feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions among any of these. For sure, these are not the only questions out there, so feel free to ask anything else you have. First thing I wanted to touch base on was the expected proving times per circuit. This is something that we've heard a couple of times. I mean, any chance you can move to the next slide for a second? These are the times that we have been collecting from our own infrastructure. It's here just as a reference so that you guys have some idea on what times to expect. We're running on machines on AWS with 32 cores and 128 gigabytes of RAM. These are the prover agents, not the prover node. And these are the times that we see for each circuit. You don't need to screenshot this table. It's on the prover integration guide. So if you need some guidelines on the expected times for each circuit, you can find that information there. In terms of the public dashboard that we've been, well, it has. Sorry, in terms of the public dashboard, which has come up a couple of times already during the call, we would want to open up our Grafana dashboard to everyone in the group here as soon as we differentiate the public information on the network versus the private information from our own infra that's running. In the meantime, we have added a CLI command. You should be able to run easily to collect some high-level stats on basically the number of blocks produced, how many blocks have been proven by each prover agent, by each prover, etc. We also had a couple of questions about the local development setup. We are aware that specifically the initial setup of the local development environment can be time consuming. I saw a message about it taking over 2 hours. I'm not surprised. There are a lot of things on that repository. If you run into issues with that, let us know. We have a build artifact cache that we can open up to you if you need, so that you only download the artifacts as opposed to rebuilding them if the custom integration you're doing only needs to touch, let's say, TypeScript. Basically, you won't need to rebuild Noir, won't need to rebuild circuits, won't need to rebuild Barrettenberg, which is the cryptographic library and what typically takes the most time, and instead just download those artifacts to speed up development. We've also added a section on the integration guide about development setup with all this info. JSON logs carried over from past slides. This was released a couple of hours ago. So if you pull the latest ProverNet image, you should be able to set up an environment variable to turn logs into JSON format. And healthy containers, thanks for that report. Basically, if you look at the prover node and agent containers, you'll see most likely that they're reported as unhealthy. This was basically a bug in our health check carried over from previous versions. That should be fixed. You should now see them reported as healthy. If you don't want to pull the latest ProverNet image for some reason, still should be fully backwards compatible with the previous one, you can just tweak the health check to hit the /status endpoint as it was discussed during the call. That should basically give you the information you need. It's not available on the agent though, only on the prover node. There have been also reports of an error on the lines of attempting to read beyond buffer length. This is related to AVM proving. AVM proving, as you can see, is unstable, which is a way of saying doesn't work right now. So any errors related to AVM proving, you can just gloss over without any issues. Latest release should downgrade the severity of this to just a warning on the prover node, not the agent. Well, and as mentioned, we have done a release of the ProverNet image a couple of hours ago with this handful of fixes. And it's possible that near the end of the week, we reset the network just to start from scratch and have a clean slate before the contest. We'll give you a heads up if we do. The only thing you need to do on your end is pull the latest ProverNet image if you hadn't done so, and restart the prover node so that it's basically picks up the latest changes from the main Aztec node. We'll let you know via the Telegram group if this happens. Okay. Any other questions?
Can we go to the next slide quickly? Just I'm curious if people have seen similar times here, or yeah, we're kind of getting dodgy machines on AWS and things are taking too long on AWS.
Nice. You run bare metal, Jim?
I forget the KVM.
Okay. Nice. Okay, I think this is the best outcome, like getting beaten in our own game. Okay, do we want to stop recording in case there are any other questions?